Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. We've got a few items on the Mayor's Caucus this evening. Items 1 and 2, the presenters are running a little bit late, so what I'd like to do is bring in Director Sebas, and he will address items 3 and 4, which are the NOPEC grant and the Urban Tree Program, and he will explain to you the process and what he needs to be done and for consideration at your special meeting on Thursday. Joe, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. If you look, items number 3 and 4 are mine. Number 1 is the NOPEC grant, and it's a $51,216 grant. And the monies come back from, grant dollars are derived from the amount of gas and electric users that participate in the NOPEC program. And only cities that are in NOPEC are eligible to apply for this kind of funding. We've done this in the past. What we're projecting to do is we've got an ordinance that we would need passed Thursday with your guys would desire to do so. And what we're going to do with it, the goal is for energy efficient improvements. And so we have been pumping money into the theater over the years. And this is an opportunity to address all the windows and doors. Mr. Patton's working on that with contractors. And so this money is absolutely eligible for that project. So there's an ordinance in here for Thursday, and I'm requesting that it be passed in one reading so we can get moving. The next, number 4 on the agenda here is the Urban Tree Canopy Grant, Enhancement Grant. So they will have, there'll be a packet for everybody to review. It's the contract, the agreement that allows the mayor to enter into agreement with the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission and that for us to move forward with planting. And we project to plant 150 trees, and we're hoping to get them done for spring planting, and I believe the goal is to get the trees planted by May 10th. So we've already been working with the contractor, and this is the season where you gotta order trees. It's very time sensitive. There's only 2 times to plant, and we'd like to try to get them in now and get it in. So I'm again asking council if at the special meeting Thursday, if there's a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into the agreement. The agreement's attached and everything for your review, and I'm asking if that could be passed Thursday too in one reading. Both items would be on Thursday, yes. NOPEC and the Urban Tree Program, yes.
Does council have any objections?
Madam Chair, your microphone's not on.
Your microphone's not on.
Thank you.
There you go.
Does council have any objection to suspension of the rules on these 2 items for Thursday? No? Okay, any questions? Yes.
Mr. Sebas, is this a matching grant on a NOPEC grant?
No, that's the good question. No, there's no matching funds required. On the Urban Tree Canopy Program, there was they asked for a small match of any. They really didn't put a big. They wanted like 10%. So we've got the total project is $50,000 or $52,050 or something. But yeah, that was our match, was like $4,600 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And is there, has the city arborist signed off on this?
Oh yeah, the list of recommended trees, Councilman, all came from Rich Sidoti, from the tree guy, and we're also working with the contractor. You know what I mean? And they're all hooked up and working together on the planting procedures and stuff like that. So.
Okay. And has Mr. Patton signed off on the types of trees as far as debris that's going to enter into the sewers, and or is that all?
Yeah, he's worked in with us on this. I mean, and he knows what we're doing and the trees we're planting and that. He has no problem with it.
Okay. Thank you.
And just that I may add to that, just besides Mr. Patton taking a look at that, we had an arborist that reviewed the trees.
Yeah, we
and so
did bring in, one of their requirements was that you had an ISE certified arborist. And they gave us a list of arborists, and we tried to find one there, and then we found one, Planet Care Landscaping out of Lakewood, John Palmer, and he really helped us. And he's going to pop in and out just to supervise the plantings, and he's going to actually show the guys at the nursery, they're gonna show them a video on the proper way to plant the trees and stuff. It was kind of part of the grant, you know what I mean? And so we're playing by the grant rules, and yeah, absolutely. There's been professionals involved all the way, so.
Councilwoman? Oh, Councilman, were
Thank
you
you.
finished?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Councilwoman?
So what types of trees did you decide on? Last time we talked, you didn't know.
Oh, guess what? I don't have the, oh, yeah, I do. What did I do with my contract here? What it was I went off of the tree planting master plan, so that the city prepared back in the 60s, that they had a master planting plan, and that's what I went off of. There's sugar maples. There's going to be a variety of different types of maple species, linden. There may be some flowering trees that are going into some of the park areas. There's street trees that were originally put in to be on street tree lawns. What did I do with the contract? Is this it here? Here, let's see. I think I have a list of them right here. It'll be in your packets too. How many? Okay, Councilwoman, get ready for this one.
Okay, I'm ready.
You want to know, write this fast.
I'm ready.
Acer sicarium. Sugar maple, Councilwoman, it's a sugar maple. They made us come up with all the Latin species names. Maximum eastern red oak, linden leaf, little leaf linden, red maple, honey locust, sergeant cherry, London plane tree, and willow oak.
You said you would provide this to council as well in the
Yeah,
packet?
you're gonna be getting a packet, and
Okay.
it'll tell you the amount of trees and where they're going. It'll all be in the contract that you'll get, and it'll all be in there.
Okay. And it will also include the locations you said, like where these trees are all going to be planted?
Well, that we're working on right now. You'll see a map, Councilwoman, there's a map in there that, the bulk of it's gonna be hitting down the southeast corner of the city, down off of North Church, Brandywine, Reed, Tobic, all those trees there, because we had lost well over 200 trees to our arbor ash borer. So we're gonna focus there, we're gonna throw some trees in some of the, potential new pocket parks going in, and Pearl Road, we're gonna be replacing some of the honey locusts and stuff that are on Pearl Road. Honey locusts are the hardiest trees for salt and stuff, and right now we've got the pears, and they're gonna be putting pears down soon for putting them in the streets. So we're gonna stick with the honey locusts because they work the best, they hold up the best. But in your packet, you'll see, there's a map in here. I made sure everything was in color, so at least you can depict where they're gonna be going and stuff. I can let you guys know it's probably gonna be, they wanna order them too, that's the other thing, is they gotta order trees ASAP to get them in, because everybody's gonna start ordering.
So
That's why-
if a resident wants a tree, is that possible? Or is this strictly the map that you have?
This is the map that I have right now, this is what we gotta try to stick to. They wanted a plan. When we put this together, you had to have a plan, a strict plan. They even want the plan with the contract, because they're gonna be, the Cuyahoga County Soil and Water Conservation District is gonna be sending people out too to monitor some of the
Right.
planting going on. So, but I could always find out, what we could do. Right now, we gotta stick with what this particular planting plan is. I wish to God I could do that.
But if there is someone that's interested, they might be on this plan anyway.
Yeah.
So
Right.
if you've got, anybody has any names or anybody that's
Lives on
interested.
those streets and wants one.
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
forward them.
You'll have them all in your packet.
Okay,
That'd be actually very helpful too. If somebody lost
Yeah.
a tree that way. so.
okay, thank you. I'm good.
Okay, Councilman?
One other thing, Mr. Sebas, are any of these trees going to give us problems with the sidewalks, with the root systems? Anybody signed off on that? Because
I could double check that, but I know sugar maples are ones that are designed for the roots to grow down, not out and up. A lot of, some of it too has to do with being planted properly, I believe, as well, so.
If you could just double check
can
on
check
that,
it,
because
yeah.
what I'd hate to do is put them in and then buckle
Yeah,
sidewalks.
yeah, I agree.
Thank you. Now,
Does council have any other questions or concerns? No? Okay.
I don't want to accidentally grab
Nora's.
Dora's stuff.
All right, Director, thank you.
Thank you.
If you take a look at your agenda, we are going to backtrack to item number 1. The Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District has 2 representatives here, Clinton McClintock, as well as Donna Friedman. I think some of you at least have met them through the years. They're going to come in to provide a presentation with a proposed project up at 130th and Pearl. And I believe we've got them in the on-deck circle. We do. There they come. Donna and Clint, come on in. All good?
Yeah, this is the agenda.
Hey, thank you.
This is for you for later.
Thank you.
Oh.
I just meant to go through my slides. I could also stand here. You guys.
I know it's a little awkward trying to keep the room to 10.
That's fine, yeah, I'll just
Thank you
stand
for your
here.
patience with that.
Oh, actually, my computer's frozen.
Want me to bring my computer over? Bring the computer.
Just try now.
Yep.
Do you think this one too?
Yes.
Check, what we'll do is,
Okay. Hopefully this will let me advance. It will. Okay, great. So sorry about that delay. My name is Donna Friedman, and I'm the watershed team leader for the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District for Parma Heights. With me today, I have Keith McClintock. He's the manager of watershed programs for the sewer district. So today, I'm here to talk about what you guys have been talking about since we got here, how to make Parma Heights better, right? That's why we're all here. So the sewer district specifically has a stormwater program, and we also have our sanitary sewer side of the house. On the sanitary sewer side, we have 3 wastewater treatment plants that treat waste. We have large interceptor sewers that collect the waste from all the communities and transport that to our wastewater treatment plants, where we treat the water and we put it back into the environment clean per the EPA standards. So on the stormwater side of our house, we have our regional stormwater management program. That program got kicked off in 2015 in September, and we've been working ever since to reduce flooding, reduce erosion, and to improve water quality in the area. So today I'm here to talk about specifically a regional stormwater basin that we're hoping to put here in Parma Heights, pretty close to Nathan Hale, and it'll look very different from Nathan Hale, but it'll have a similar function. So So this is a little bit about what I just talked about. We kind of have two sides of the house, and Parma Heights has been a great partner as a stormwater community and also as a community that we service for wastewater. So as with all good things, there's a lot of study and planning that goes into making a good program work. So on the regional stormwater management side, we have our stormwater master plans. We have several of these, but for Parma Heights, the Cuyahoga River North Stormwater Master Plan is the master plan that services your area. So Big Creek watershed is where Parma Heights mostly sits in. So Big Creek goes to the Cuyahoga River, and the Cuyahoga River goes out to Lake Erie. So we've put a lot of money into these large stormwater master plans in order to figure out where the problems are, and more importantly, how we can help solve those problems. So our stormwater master plan for this area, Cuyahoga River North, is completed, and those plans have gone as community reports to the communities, including to Parma Heights. So what we're going to talk about today is a basin that was part of that stormwater master plan in order to reduce flooding in Parma Heights. So, once we get the plans, where do we go from there? How does that work? So that's why we collect our stormwater fee that your residents and the companies within your community pay to the sewer district. In addition to that, 25% of the fees that we collect go into the community cost share pot of money for Parma Heights. So if a resident pays their stormwater fee, 25% of what they pay goes into a pot specifically for Parma Heights to use on local stormwater projects. So those are the ways that we can help pay for some of the plans that come out of that stormwater master plan study. On the other side of the house, we have our wastewater planning. So our local sewer system evaluation study, LSSES, very catchy, I know. That's the study that looks into the local sewers. So these are the sewers that are owned by Parma Heights, the smaller sanitary sewers that travel up your local roads and then deliver that wastewater to our large interceptor sewers. So Parma Heights specifically is part of the Southwest Interceptor study area. So all the sewers in Parma Heights that you guys own carry all the waste to that interceptor sewer, and then that interceptor sewer goes to our wastewater treatment plants. So in order to really solidify the longevity of that system, we have done these local studies on your guys' infrastructure to help better understand where are people getting basement flooding, where is maybe the capacity not quite enough in order to take that wastewater to our system without people having flooding. And so through those local sewer system evaluation studies, we come up with plans and steps that the cities can take in order to better their infrastructure to reduce the issues that they have related to their local sewer system. And then from there, the cities can apply for what we call our Member Community Infrastructure Grant Program. And those are funds of money that we make available every year. Communities can apply for design only, or they can apply for design and construction in order to take those ideas that we came up with, through large studies like the LSSES study and implement them. So that's how that all flows. It's the program, the studies related to the program, and then how we plan on funding those. So a little background information on this specific project. The district worked with Parma Heights in order to secure voluntarily a parcel that I'll show on the next slide for a stormwater basin. It would be a regional basin that the sewer district would be responsible for. The district paid $704,000 through the Regional Stormwater Management Program in order to put a basin on this property. So it is in the Big Creek watershed. It's close to Nathan Hale, and I'll show that here. So there's the parcel with the star on it in blue. Nathan Hale, I outlined in red there. You see Pearl and West 130th. And these streets are all streets that we've seen flooding on, either called in flooding, the residents have called during storm events, or what we call modeled flooding. So when we do those studies, whether it be the sewer system study on the sanitary system or the stormwater study, we see flooding in those models. So what we're hearing from the residents, we're confirming on our computerized modeling systems. So that is where the parcel is compared to Nathan Hale. And I'll walk through how we plan on bringing that water over to that basin location. So this is what I just talked about. This is the yearly reported flooding from those residents on Maplewood, Beresford, Oakwood, not as much on Oakwood, but on Greenleaf and Parma Park as well. And we've come through with the realization that this is not just a stormwater problem or just a sanitary problem, it's really both. And so the solution isn't going to be a one-hitter, it's not going to just be the basin, it's going to have to be both sides of the house. It's going to have to be the sanitary system and the stormwater system. So here's an example of a basin that the sewer district built in Parma. We call this the Chevy Basin. Residents nearby were flooding, and you can see those two light blue lines are storm sewers that were installed or connected to this basin, so that during large storm events, the water that can't flow through the system overflows into the basin. The basin stores that water for a little while, and then once the system has capacity again, the basin drains out much slower into the stormwater system again, and during dry weather, the basin is dry as well. So this is similar to what we would expect to be designing for that location that we purchased. How it works is sort of what I said just now, but you can see there's sort of gentle slopes into the basin. It's planted with grasses and sedges, and when it's dry, the basin is dry. When there's a lot of wet weather, that's when the basin really comes in handy for that extra storage. So by providing capacity in the basin location, you provide additional capacity in the stormwater system, in those storm sewers that flow off those streets. So instead of going into basements, it goes into the basin. So here's how we're proposing how it would work based on our Cuyahoga River North study. Those blue lines that you see that are going north, currently north is up, those are already there. Those storm sewers are already there, but they capture really all the way up to Pearl Road. Those storm sewers just keep going. And so there's not enough capacity in those storm sewers to really carry all that flow that would be needed during large storm events. So we're recommending that there be an interceptor sewer, in this case a stormwater interceptor sewer, installed on Lawndale to carry flow into the basin, which will be on that new parcel. So it'll intercept all that water flowing north, carry it into the basin, and then it'll go back out from the basin either to Pearl or back out to Maple Grove. So the next steps, like I said, this isn't really just a stormwater only problem. Similar to how on this slide you see that those sewers go straight up the street, that's how it is for the sanitary sewers too. So the sanitary sewers also collect all that waste from all of those houses all the way up to Pearl Road. That's a lot of sanitary for one sewer to hold, especially if the sewer wasn't big enough to begin with. And so we are going to definitely have to work on both sides of the house. We plan on coordinating with the city for phasing and funding on both the stormwater infrastructure and the sanitary infrastructure. The City of Parma Heights has been successful in getting one of our member community infrastructure grants already, and so we know that they're definitely willing and capable of applying for that grant again. We think that this is going to be a really good project to submit to our member community infrastructure grant program for that sanitary side of things. And there will be a lot to work through because there is so much going on in this area. But we are looking forward to that, and we plan on doing an advanced planning study as well to help accompany this as Parma Heights works on it with us. So just to give you a little taste of the separate sewer system evaluation study, this is some of the work that we think will need to be done in this area. I know that's a really high price tag, but you can see sort of in the middle there where you have the blue line going this way and the red line going this way. That's primarily what we're going to be focusing on, I think, in this next couple of years, is installing that large storm sewer that'll capture the water going to the basin, and then the sanitary that comes up the street will go into that red sewer and tie into our existing relief sewer that is already in place, that purple one. So that's just a little bit of a sneak peek, but I'm sure I'll be back here to talk to you more about this in the future. And that's all I have. Questions?
There's a lot going on, isn't there, Donna?
There's a lot going on. Yeah. Yeah.
Donna, could you pull that map back up for just a really quick moment?
Sure, which
Yeah.
one? This one?
That'll work just fine.
Okay.
So I'm wondering, I get an idea of the streets, that's Ward 3, so I get an idea of the streets and what's happening there. Is the Meadowbrook and Woodview streets, which also has seen a lot of flooding in those homes, is that going to be a part of the Nathan Hale catching water basin, or will that water flow towards this?
That's a great question. So stormwater-wise, I know that there was that tributary that flows along the back of Meadowbrook. I think that will be incorporated into that Nathan Hale project, although someone else who knows better than me could probably answer that. As far as the sanitary sewers on those two streets, we are seeing in our study that there's a lot of what we call inflow and infiltration. That's when stormwater gets into the sanitary sewer.
Right.
So what you're seeing in that situation is we're recommending lining and rehab. So depending on how the city wants to organize their MCIP application, they could organize it so that, you know, they worked on that one sanitary sewer, they worked on some of the I&I maybe in that those greenhouses south, and then they could, you know, suggest doing a pilot of a lining on Woodview or something like that. So it could get phased in with that MCIP. It just sort of depends on what the community decides is a priority and what will score best on their application. Other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for having us. I'm really sorry about the technical delays, and hopefully the next guys will have it easier.
Keith, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Mhm.
Oh, all right, thank you for your patience. We're trying to make this 10-person rural as easy as possible. The next presentation, whatever you'd like, David. The first gentleman walking in, this is David Frank from Deal Point, Merrill, followed by his partner Sterling McGregor. And I believe they have their attorney with them, Dennis. Frank and Sterling will provide a presentation for you. I will walk out with Nora, I think, once Dennis comes in. And then if you need any questions, there'll be a follow-up to Mr. Silverstein from Wells Fargo, I believe, may have some comments for you too. So with that, David, you need this one?
Oh,
Sure. Sure. With that, welcome David, of course, and I will turn the presentation over to David Frank.
Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, you're very well.
Thank you. As the mayor pointed out, my name is David Frank, and I'm the CEO of Deal Point Merrill. However, this evening, I'm going to have my business partner, the president of the company, give the presentation this evening. So, Sterling, you want to comment?
Sure. Nice to meet everybody.
Thank you.
My name's Sterling McGregor, and I want to thank the Mayor Byrne for allowing us to do a presentation and assembling this project. It's complicated because you've got 3 different users, 3 different companies, 3 different parcels, and with varied uses, and that's what makes real estate really complicated these days. So I appreciate that. Just so you know, we're not new to Cleveland. Our company has completed several projects here. We have a sister project. It's going to sort of look like Parma Heights. It's on Lorraine Avenue. It was a dilapidated building that nobody wanted. Nobody could figure out what to do with it. There wasn't another user to come along. So we worked with Councilman Casey, and we came up with a great idea, and it's a very successful project. It's more successful than we imagined. We have some retail pads in the front, so the retail is there, and it helps the whole street. The whole street looks alive, right? So there's not these dead boxes and a vacancy in another building, so it really adds to the whole street. We took the back part of the building and we converted it into a climate-controlled retail store. That means it's a retail store. We just don't sell stuff. We sell a service, and we have full-time employees there, and we have complementary services like some services that we put in our buildings are pack and ship. People need to always get stuff, receive stuff. One of the things that we found out, and I want to stay with the project, but I want to explain this a little bit, that our projects really add a lot of value to communities, and we've done maybe 30 projects similar to this throughout the country. We also are very active in redeveloping the former Richmond Town Center Mall. Most of you know where that is. It's a 1.5 million square feet vacant project. It used to be the gym of the city, and now there's nothing there. There's no retailers, and there's nobody to step into the project. Well, why? Because it just takes a ton of money and a mixed-use project. So in this case, this 70-acre development will have a couple of good things. 800 apartments. And these are different apartments than what people normally think of. This is live, work, play district type apartments with full amenity package and 400,000 square feet of retail. Now, the 400,000 square feet of retail, we've got a very large grocery store. You'd all know the name, and you would say, wow, I'm driving there to shop at this place. This is the new super version that has everything inside. They want to be there. Why? Because the whole project's going to be redeveloped. So So when we put money into properties, we bring a lot of other things come along to the neighborhood that you don't really think about. One of them is, I'll just get into this right now, is that everybody wants to fix their house up, right? And I don't know what kind of house you have, Rick, but if you're like me, you got stuff in your garage and you got to figure out, where am I going to put all this stuff so I can paint my house? Or, gosh, if I had another shed, I could put more, I could put my boat out there. Where am I going to put all this stuff? We have found out over many, many projects that our projects trigger regentrification. People say, wow, I can add a room, I can put my stuff in. About 30% of the people that use our projects, they're businesses, small businesses. They got to have inventory. I know, Tom, I don't know if you don't know this, but maybe your mom wants to start a business. Maybe she wants to sell homemade jam. She's got to have a place to pack it and ship it and then store supplies. So a lot of times these businesses become incubator spots for them. And of course, there's just people that want to store things that are safe and secure. So it's really a retail store. And it's not an industrial use. That's the most important thing. That's why we are real successful in retail locations. We badly want, in these projects, to have some retail use in the front. We want as many people to stop and come to these buildings and drive by, because the more people that do that, the more secure our business is going to be. And we coexist really well with a lot of retailers. We have Tractor Supply. We got Chuck E. Cheese, Dunham Sports. There's probably 4 or 5 other retailers. We have about 12 to 15 retailers in our projects that love being next to us because we're quiet, they don't know we're there, and we don't use a lot of parking. So a high impact user is pretty excited to be there. So that's just a little bit about the project and what we're doing. This is, of course, a schematic of what we're proposing. Here's the retail uses right here. Now, how do we get retail users? We're a retail developer, just by background. My partner David's built about 8 million square feet, representing Lowe's and Walmart. So we have a lot of experience in the retail business. Now you're saying, well, what about this? This is our back, I'm going to call it, this is our retail storage store, but again, a lot of the use is self-storage. It's climate controlled. It's not what you're used to seeing. It's an actual storefront with an actual entrance, just like you walk into Walmart. Boom, door opens up, you come in a really nice open area. You don't see anything. You just see some cameras and a few office space, and that's pretty much it. All the activities in the back. It's controlled. It's secure. It's got cameras. It's got surveillance. The one thing that we want is a safe, secure, quiet, comfortable place that people feel good about coming to. It's well lit, all the things that you want in a retail location. So that's what we do. So that's what this is going to look like when it's done. The price is a lot. $13 million. It's a really heavy investment. Because this building, it's like junk. The roof is completely shot. When it rains, you can swim in the building. I'm sort of joking a little bit, but the building is not in good shape. Everything needs to be redone. When we get these buildings, we have to gut them out, put in a new roof, make sure they're well supported. Environmental issues, we got to clean up. Sometimes they have asbestos. Fix all the parking lots, get all those potholes out. Take all the new HVAC systems, new electrical. It's a big deal, big presentation. So a lot of the money goes in there to turn these things back. This building is particularly shot, but we're good with that. In fact, y'all ought to go down to Lorraine Avenue. It's just close by. You can see what it looks like. Sub City's going to open up. You can go in there and have lunch and then walk around. And you can get a real good idea what this sister project's going to look like. We also did one other project. a Macy's. You say, well, what the heck? What are you going to do with a Macy's? It is now sort of like Lorraine. Got 20,000 square feet above, and it is a huge complement to the apartments that are going to be built there. The toughest thing about people when they rent apartments is they just flat out don't have enough room, right? And they just pile this stuff on their balconies. This solves all that. So we have a nice, clean, efficient way for people to move into town. They can store their extra stuff. And at some point, we want them to stay. A lot of our business is repeat business. And that's really important. If you don't mind, I just want to tell you a little bit about demand and supply on these projects. One of the things that people always worry about is, well, what happens when people move out? Right? Is new people going to come back? And the answer is, in this area, significant. If there's a significant demand. In fact, I'll just use Lorraine. Self-storage, in this, we'll call it self-storage general rule, is when you build a project, it leases up about 3% a month. So it takes a while, right? People slowly come in and they do it when it's seasonal. No one does anything in the winter, and then the spring comes, everybody's in a big hurry. I gotta paint my house, I gotta trim my yard, I gotta move that old furniture out. But what happens if that furniture was your grandmother's furniture? You can't get rid of it. So we store a lot of people's memories there. So it takes a while, and then people like to stay, and they use this as a secondary location for them. But that property is completely leased up in record time because the demand's so strong. And who would have thought, right? Well, let me tell you about this project. We do a scorecard, just like a grade at school, from 0 to 100. You get a 88's an A minus, right? This property has an A minus grade out of 100. So that means it's superior in terms of traffic, market rents, inventory, population, the number of apartment renters. There's a lot of people there. They don't have anywhere to put their stuff except by moving. That's what people do when they get too crowded. They just leave. And they don't stay in your community. They go somewhere else. And that's the hard part. We want them to stay as badly as the city wants them to stay, and we know that this works. So there's about 30 to 40% of people are in apartments. The occupancy in the whole market's more than 90%. But here's a really interesting factor. In our business, we have like metrics to how we measure things. And one metric is, what is the average square footage per capita? In the United States, it's about 7. That's good. That means there's enough demand and supply. If you can get into a market with 4 square feet or less per capita, that's considered an exceptional market. You know how many square feet we've got in this trade area? 1. There is a huge, huge demand. The deficiency is incredible. And that's the part that you can see. If you turn to your page, I did a little executive summary here, but behind it, it's almost like a letter format. It actually shows you the math of how we track all these variables. It's actually on page 2. Traffic, market rents, occupancy of competitors, what's the population, how much money do people make, and how big the households are. So those are all the things that go into there. In this case, the market demand's about 647,000 feet. There's only 94,000 square feet of supply in the whole market. And it's not even A quality. The closest competitor in our market is a CubeSmart just way down the road, 3 miles away. Now you're saying, well, why is that the case? There are storage, but they're industrial. They're industrial uses. They're the ones that's what you're always thinking. It's that drive up one. You get in your car and you drive up and open up a gate and throw your stuff in there. That's not what we do. We're not even in that business. That's like saying a Motel 6 is like Hilton Hotel downtown. They're completely different. And the users are different. And the business is different. Our business is completely different. But as you move along here, you can see all the facts. So there's two big pieces that determine whether a project like this is going to be successful. First of all, I want you all to know that I'm putting my money in this project. It's my money. It's not some big corporation, and if, it doesn't turn out, I still got my job. I lose my job, I'm in big trouble because the bank's going to want their money back. So I am like certain, 100% certain this works. That's how certain I got to be. But you'll see there's two parts. There's population mobility and demographics. Demographics, I lined up what we call a baseline, what the project looks like. It's like blood work from your doctor. Am I sick or am I okay? Well, this tells you just instantly how you're doing. Demographics mean, is there enough people and can they afford it? Do we have enough people there? And can they afford it, and do they need it? And the answer is yes, yes, yes. And then mobility is, how many new people come into the market and how many people leave? In our case, we got a bunch of apartments there, and we got pretty good trade. We got a 360-degree trade area, and we got good traffic. So a lot of people see this facility. For us, before we drop all this money in there, we've got to know that people are going to come back and want to use their product. New people. It's not always the same people. And we have that assurance that that's what's going to happen. So those are some real important facts about us. Again, about 30% of these users are all businesses. They're not necessarily people who live in apartments. A lot of them are residential users. And again, one of the biggest things that we've seen is gentrification. People will spend money to fix their house up, and they'll do it this year because this year's houses are on fire. A lot of sales going on. So people will spend the money, paint their house. They may want to add a room. They may need to tear off their roof. But in the meantime, they got to move their stuff somewhere so they won't damage it, or they want to keep it secure. I want to stay in the community. I'm going to sell my house, but I got to put my stuff somewhere else. Well, as long as their stuff stays in Parma Heights, they're going to stay here. And that's the most important thing. Now, one of the things that we do to make sure that we provide the absolute highest possible care and service is to use a national company. Our store is branded with a national firm called Life Storage. They're a $6 billion company. They got thousands and thousands of stores, and they work really hard to provide the best retail stores you can. Their employees are inside. They got uniforms. They work regular hours. These stores are open just like a grocery store, except about 6 o'clock they shut the doors down, maybe 7 o'clock. Sometimes you can get in an extra hour, and then they open around 7 in the morning. People do have before and after hour privileges. But again, we got you on videotape. We know who you are. There's access points. So this is really, really controlled stuff. So that's a little bit about the market, a little bit about Deal Point. I'd like to introduce Mark Silverstein. He's our seller. Mark's here. I don't know if you want to continue, Mark. Take off where I've been, but any questions? I sort of like just threw a lot of facts at everybody.
Does council have any questions at this point? Okay. Okay, continue.
Yeah, I'm Mark Silverstein. I'm with the law firm of Jones Day. We represent the seller to Deal Point Merrill, also the seller to the sewer district, and the seller to On the Properties, who is a third buyer who has plans to build a senior living complex on the northernmost parcel. All I want to say, I want to be here in case you had any questions. I just want to say that it's been a long time. The official owner is ATC Realty 16. They're an affiliate of Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo got involved in the project, or in this, in connection with the property back in approximately 2006, when the receiver for the property sold it at a public auction to a company that was called Parma Heights Land Development. And this was right before the 2007-2008 recession. They defaulted on the loan. We foreclosed, we being Wells Fargo foreclosed. And it went to a public foreclosure sale in February 2012. And there were no bidders. So Wells Fargo's affiliate, ATC Realty, bought it. And in the 9 years since then, we've been trying to sell the property, and there are really no takers. So it laid in the condition it was for that period of time. And more recently, through the hard work of a lot of people, the leadership of Mayor Byrne, Law Director Corney, outside counsel Tony Coyne, a lot of creativity and hard work helped put together these 3 separate sales that hopefully will culminate sometime in this year, and start generating some revenue for the city. So it has been a long road, but I think we see some potential light at the end of the tunnel. I kind of joked to my client that I could see, when it's all built out, that you have some of the people from the senior living community walking a little south to around the retention basin. Maybe there'll be some nice walking paths, and then they can go down to the retail up front. Maybe there'll be some sort of a dining facility there, and check on maybe some photographs in the storage locker. But there's a lot of synergies, but it did take a long time, much longer than we expected. And again, a lot of hard work and creativity by the mayor and others. So I'm available for any questions you may have. But otherwise, I thank you for your time.
Council have any questions? Okay, thank you.
This will conclude Deal Point Merrill's presentation. I want to thank everybody for their time and consideration, and just wanted to also, my business partner did focus on the retail. The retail will be driven by need. We have a void study analysis, and as we further develop the property, we will come before the city council with potential uses. We prefer, some sort of restaurants. We believe that restaurants will serve the community very well. Second of all is, I'm not sure if you know, Old Time Pottery is a temporary tenant. It is in bankruptcy, and it's on a month-to-month lease. And so the future existence of this property with Old Time Pottery being gone will just further create more of vandalism and what have you. So I want to thank all of you for your time and consideration. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, I know we're running a little bit late. If you don't mind giving us 5 minutes, though, you're ready to council now?
Yes. Can you let me know when the recording is turned off, please?
Yes.